Hey, what's up, nerds? Have you ever heard someone say the reserve list doesn't actually affect card prices? Actually, I've seen quite a few comments to that effect, both here on the Nerd Crypt and other Magic the Gathering sites. They like to claim, hey, this card is really expensive, so that means the reserve list doesn't mean anything. Now, hold on. That's like saying Jace the Mind Sculptor was fair at 4 mana, or that the Star Wars Holiday Special was underrated. It's the kind of take that makes you wonder if the commenter has ever touched a piece of cardboard. Today, we're going to do what we do best here at the Nerd Crypt. Dismantle that nonsense with vintage data, old school flair, and a healthy dose of sarcasm. Strap in, because we're firing up the old Tandy, cracking open Scrye Magazine Issue #1, and pulling data straight from Scryfall like it's a lotus from a pack. Let's rewind to 1994, a time of slap bracelets, Mortal Kombat fatalities, and Magic cards you could still buy with your lunch money. Arabian Nights, Magic's first ever expansion, was fresh on the scene for at least about 2 months. Rare cards were going for just a few bucks, and the game was still young enough that nobody realized Juzám Djinn was about to become cardboard royalty. Back then, the average rare that is now on the reserve list from Arabian Nights cost about $7.37. This is data from Scryfall Magazine #1, which is the first edition that had a price guide in it. That's at the high end. They cost $7.37. And the non-reserve cards that never made it to the reserve list, they were just a little bit behind at $6.34. Now, I'm not adjusting any of this for inflation, but you and I both know that $7.37 adjusted for inflation is not $1,000. I hope we both know that. If we don't, you gotta talk to your math teacher. That's not a huge difference, about a buck. A little over 10%. The world was young. Our knees didn't hurt yet. It was beautiful. I remember those days. Flash forward to today. You've got a beard full of gray hairs. And what about the cards? Okay, I have a beard of gray hairs. Maybe you don't. But anyway, what about the cards? Well, they've aged better than any of us. Reserved list rares from Arabian Nights now average a value of $354.59. That's based on data that I pulled from May 20th on Scryfall. The non-reserve list rares, a respectable but distant $99.33. There's quite a gap there. So that little gap of about $1 back in 1994 has blown up to a gulf the size of $250 or more in collectible gravity. That's a 4 times multiplier. Reserved list cards are now worth 4 times more than their non-reserved peers from the same set, same era, same print run. The only real difference? One group has a no reprint force field. Still think the reserve list doesn't affect prices? Well, hold on to your power glove. We're not done yet. So I showed you the averages, which to me, statistically, is the most important part. Because it's not just looking at one card and using your anecdote to say, no, this is true. Look, I've got a counterexample. But I know some of you like those spicy anecdotes. So let me share a few of those. Let's compare some individual cards. One reserved, one not. Same Arabian Nights set. Let the cardboard cage match begin. Again, these are all prices that I pulled from Scryfall, which averages a couple of different sites, TCG Player and I think Card Market, to come up with their listings when you go check out the card arts and whatnot. I pulled them on May 20th of 2025, just for comparison. So let's take a look at a couple of lands that were actually in the uncommon slot in Arabian Nights. First, we had the City of Brass, and some people have said, look at City of Brass, it's still worth $500, even though it's been reprinted to death. The Arabian Nights version is still worth a lot of money. Okay, hold on to your butts, friends, because the Library of Alexandria, which is on the reserve list, and I wouldn't even say is as useful necessarily as the City of Brass, goes for more like $1,270 and maybe 59 cents. So yeah, the library is worth a little over twice as much. That's a whole extra dual land and a burrito. Probably a really tasty one. And then we have the Battle of the Genies. I'm sorry, the Djinns. Juzám Djinn versus Erhnam Djinn. Erhnam not on the reserve list. Juzám on the reserve list. Check out these prices. Yeah, some people have brought up, man, Erhnam Djinn still, like the Arabian Nights, goes for a lot of money. Right now, $324.99. That is a fair bit of change. But Juzám Djinn, you're looking at least $1,000 to get one in decent shape. $1,200 was the price I pulled on Scryfall. So that makes Juzám 3.5 times more valuable. And let's be honest, it's not because of the art. Both of these cards look like they're starring in a VHS bootleg of heavy metal. And here we go. Let's talk the budget cards, the ones that nobody really even likes that much. Okay, are you ready? Buckle up, settle in. Let's look at the Ring of Maruf versus Jandor's Ring. The Ring of Maruf on the reserve list goes for about $147.33 in good condition now. Jandor's Ring, not reserved, $25.26. Look, nobody is throwing elbows to get either one of these cards. But the Ring of Maruf is still 6 times more expensive. It's like the reserve list came along and sprinkled some fairy dust and said, look at me, I'm special, even if I suck. So let's recap. Same set, same rarity, very similar 1994 prices, wildly different values today. What changed? I'm only looking at one variable here, and that's the reserve list. It's really not about playability. It's not about art. It's not even about nostalgia. Did I say that? It's about perceived permanence. A cardboard promise from the 90s that Wizards would never touch these cards again. It enhances their rarity and mystique. And guess what? That promise has created a tier of collectibles that print money just by existing. And this guy right here really can't afford those cards. But hey, they exist. I'm not throwing stones in my glass house. So next time somebody tells you the reserve list doesn't matter, just send them this video and say, I've got a ring to sell you. It's not very good, but it's on the reserve list. Thanks for watching, nerds. Smash that like button harder than a kid opening a booster with Juzám in it. Subscribe for more spicy takes, vintage price breakdowns, and unironic love for 4th edition. Until next time, stay cryptic, stay nerdy, stay awesome to each other. Take care.